Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk Quantum Biopharma. I do not own any position in Quantum, but hey, it is a ticker which has been heavy on retail's minds, hot in terms of momentum trading over the past couple months, running here in the bottom right from a couple dollars all the way up to $38 in the last week or so. Now coming back down here over the last couple trading sessions, sitting at $21.72. But hey, a lot of people made money on this run up, and congratulations if you did. The flip side of that coin is that a lot of people have lost money in this ticker over the years as well. If we look back to 2020, split adjusted price, $910. So it fell from $910 split adjusted down to $2. And people got absolutely devastated that initially invested in this ticker. Why did that happen? A variety of financial reasons. Of course, the company is also alleging market manipulation. Maybe so. There's a lawsuit. We'll talk about that in a second. But also there has been massive dilution, thousands of percent of increase of shares outstanding since 2020. You can see here 0.11 million shares outstanding back in 2020, 2.71 as of last week. And then on Friday, we got this announcement from the company that they had sold some more shares. That is where things get a little bit squirrely and where people have been mad at me for the last 3 days on how I reported on that. And that's really the what I want to talk about on this video, how I cover a stock and why. And, you know, sometimes things don't come across correct on Twitter, or people create their own version of what I am trying to do, how I'm trying to help you guys lock in gains, manage your risk if you're trading in these very speculative stocks. One of the things that is going on with Quantum Biopharma, if you've looked at the financials, some of you have, some of you haven't, you'll notice here at the top, the company has no revenue. This is a pre-revenue company, which puts it in the absolute highest risk category of any type of speculative stock that you might want to trade in. You're literally buying shares in a company which has no revenue. And you guys all know, as time goes on, when a company does not have revenue, what are they forced to do? They're forced to go raise money. And that is the reason a stock is listed on a public exchange. I got no problem with any company raising money, whether it's issuing shares, i.e. dilution, or raising cash by selling debt. Hey, that is what they come to the public markets for, to raise money, to get a product line going. So please do not ever take my reporting on a company when I talk about dilution as being a negative. It's just a fact. And if you're speculating in these companies, those are facts that you're going to have to face from time to time. And my way of trading around these, if I was in Quantum, would be to understand the financials, understand the company's motivations, understand the cash balance and the liquidity and the operating cash burn, and then try to time my trades around momentum on the chart and what the company is likely to do when the price goes up, which would be the smart thing: sell equity, raise money, get cash on the balance sheet. A long-winded introduction to talk about Friday's filings. Let's get right into it. All right, let's talk about the chart for a second, because you know, I've mostly stayed quiet on Quantum because it's had a fantastic run up. I've seen many of you making trades on this, locking in profits. I love to see that. That is what we want to see. Happy people buying cheap, selling into run-ups, locking in gains. But there is a narrative that the share price was running up because the shorts were getting squoze. And if we look at the market data, let's just talk data that we can see. The short interest on Quantum, this gray area here, is 5.37%, 5% short interest. not what I call a short squeeze play. What we do have on Quantum, though, is a very low float, 2.9 million shares as of last week, and no options chain. On top of that, the float appears very tightly controlled. There's just not a lot of shares for shorts to go out and borrow. The cost to borrow is 420%. And I have seen some shorts on social media say they couldn't even get a locate if they wanted to try and short it. So in my mind, it is debatable that this was a short squeeze, and I don't care to debate it. You can have whatever opinion you want. My opinion is this was a low float FOMO run up with long biased buyers trading in and out of the stock. And at some point, some of you got stuck up here in the high $30 range. Those of you that came in late to the play or got overly excited and bought into the hype too late. Since the main point of today's video is just to talk about Friday's filing, where Quantum sold some shares to insiders and increased the share count of the ticker that we see here on the screen, I'm not going to really get into the debate about whether or not there are naked shorts in this ticker, but I will put a link for you in the video description. The company is suing CIBC, RBC, and others for market manipulation. Some people call this a naked short lawsuit. If I look at the actual document, it's 66 pages, and the complaint is not about naked shorts. It is about spoofing and how these banks used spoofing to manipulate the price. And so, you know, in 66 pages, the words naked short are only used 3 times in one paragraph. It's just not the basis of this lawsuit. The lawsuit is about spoofing. I've been tracking that lawsuit since October of 2024 when I put it on my chart here, the blue notation on the far left, and I will keep up with the lawsuit as it progresses. And as always, I hope that one of these companies pins somebody to the ground and finds some evidence of wrongdoing. I'm sure we would all like to see that, myself included. So far, no company has really been able to make any real headway in this over the last several years, but you know, we cross our fingers, and the more people, the more companies that are attempting to sue some of these banks and institutions for spoofing, maybe we will finally get discovery and evidence at some point where we can hold someone accountable. Maybe we won't. That is not the point of today's video. What I want to talk to you guys briefly about in this video is a filing that the company made on Friday, the 27th of June, and people got very mad that I covered a company disclosure. Now, there are layers to this disclosure, and you know, it's very important that you understand the company that you're investing in and where to get all of the information. Because when we look on the SEC website, the 6K filing is just a press release that goes over the fact that the company sold 12 Class A shares to 2 of the company's insiders, the CEO, Zishan Saeed, and a director of the company, Anthony Durkatz. Hopefully I said that name correctly. The company sold 12 shares to these 2 gentlemen of the Class A multiple voting shares at a price of $50 per share for aggregate proceeds of $600. And if you just read the SEC website, doesn't seem like much, right? And the CEO even tweeted about it saying, hey guys, just wanted to let you know, we wanted to make sure we have enough votes. There was a lot that did not get said by the CEO in his tweet or with this press release made on the SEC website. And to go get the rest of the story, you need to go to SEDAR, which is the Canadian version of EDGAR. And because this company is a Canadian company, and there are much more interesting details listed on the Canadian website. And you got to ask yourself, why was it not reported by the CEO? Why was it not reported to American investors in the SEC filing? You got to ask yourself that, right? I do. And even if you don't want to ask yourself that, I'm still going to do the work to look up the full filing and share with you the details of it that might matter to you, even if it's uncomfortable. And I'm sorry if it's uncomfortable, but it's a company disclosure to investors. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to get steamrolled, just like the people got steamrolled investing in this company over the previous 5 years. Now, I don't mean that as a dig at Quantum or you if you are invested in the company, but if you're not paying attention to things like the SEDAR website, where the rest of the filing actually exists, you're going to get steamrolled. But before we talk about the real filing with all of the details that weren't disclosed to American investors on the SEC website, that filing existing in the Canadian website, SEDAR, we're going to talk about that in just a second. I want you guys to kind of hear why I do this. And I'm going to allow you to hear why I do this from the voices of some early investors in this company, Quantum Biopharma. And remember that Quantum renamed itself, rebranded itself, tried to leave the past behind 1 year ago in August of 2024. It used to trade under the ticker HUGE, H-U-G-E, and the company name FSD Pharma. Let's hear from some of these investors. And as you're listening to them, I want you to be thinking about how I'm thinking, why I cover things like the risk of potential dilution, the risk of investing or speculating in a company that has no revenue. Use that as your foundation to understand me as you listen to your fellow retail traders.
My girlfriend of 2.5 years, who I brought out to Reading with me, we bought a condo together to pursue another investment. But unfortunately, with all this thing happening with the complete stock crash of FSD Pharma, I was unable to uphold my end of the bargain of our second investment. So unfortunately, due to finances, we have recently split up, which I cannot call her for. But yeah, so effectively, I lost my best friend, lost my condo, and pretty much all I have to my name is now my car, my TV, and my couch. Pretty much living in my friend's basement at the moment.
When you're looking at my losses from, I can't even tell you what it is because my book costs are off anywhere from $85,000 to $100,000. That between 5 accounts, that's huge money, right?
It's hurt me with relationships with other friends, relatives, clients.
Obviously, it made me feel terrible. It made me feel like I was stupid to get involved. The research I did was basically didn't mean anything.
It blew up my retirement. I now live with my son and his family. So it's not only affected me in that I'm not living independently any longer, it affects my son and his family because they have me living with them.
It threw me off guard. I mean, I thought my investments would be, would be more so protected than that.
I was planning to retire, but because of that much of amount of money lost, I am still in the job.
I can't tell you, what thoughts go through your mind. It's discouraging. It's, you want to sometimes just hang yourself.
It is sobering to hear people talk about their losses like that. And we've seen it happen over and over in many different retail tickers. People overinvest. They don't manage risk in a non-revenue or money-losing company. And when it comes time for the company to have to raise additional capital, they just get diluted to hell. And it is very sad. Now, those testimonials are available on Quantum Biopharma's website. They are using them as testimonials of people who were hurt by market manipulation. And maybe there was market manipulation. Maybe there was spoofing. I hope we find out some details for these people in the lawsuit that the company is pursuing. But the bottom line is, if you don't understand that you're investing in a non-revenue company with a timeline that is 4, 5, 6 years out for its multiple sclerosis treatment, the company that has no revenue, the company that is going to need to spend tens and tens of millions of dollars just to even get to the point where they could get FDA approval. If you're not aware of these risks and you're only listening to social media talk to you about naked shorts, I don't want to see you make the same mistake that all of the people that have gone before this have made in this ticker and many, many others. It's okay if you want to speculate in these companies, but understand the risk, manage your risk. And these are not the type of companies to commit your life savings to? Why would you invest your life savings in a company that has zero revenue? I mean, that's a guaranteed dilution machine. Just being blunt here. I know that's a very long intro, but I think it is important information for you guys to have some background context as you think about why I'm covering Quantum Biopharma. Looking at the filings, though, that the company made on Friday the 27th on the SEDAR website in Canada, we can see that same news release here that was on the SEC EDGAR website, the press release with bare bones details, but there is an additional material change report that was filed in Canada. And if you don't have the time like I do to go research this stuff, you're going to miss other key information. And just a reminder, as our background information, if you look over here on the far right, every website you go to right now is going to show the Quantum Biopharma shares outstanding at 2.91 million, because as of May 14th, that was the official number communicated by the company to investors, and all of the data consolidators and brokers picked up and reported that. That was about 40 days ago, until the press release that came out on Friday. If we go down into the details of the material report, which is not available to American investors on the SEC website, only to people that bothered to go over and check Canada, the SEDAR website, we get a lot more details, and we get an updated share count. The company telling us now that the shares outstanding is all of a sudden changed from the number they communicated 40 days ago. The share count is now 3.422 million shares. Class B shares that you see listed here, highlighted in yellow, are the shares that trade on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol QNTM, the ones that you guys are buying. So we've had about a 500,000 share increase, which some people are trying to argue on Twitter, 500,000 shares is not that much. It's almost 18%. If you think that having your ownership in the company diluted by 20% is not a big deal, hey, then that is certainly your opinion. But it is material in my viewpoint, and it is secondarily important to understand that there is, between warrants, convertible debentures, RSUs, and director compensation, and a variety of other things, the company needs to raise cash. They don't have any revenue. There is going to, in my opinion, be ongoing dilution of people that decide to hold this stock. And the company is not doing a very good job of keeping you guys up to date as dilution happens, as evidenced by this almost 20% increase in the shares outstanding, with the details buried in the Canadian website and not disclosed in any way to United States investors. I got a problem with that. The other thing you should know that's important from this press release that was put out on Friday is there are, if you don't know, two different classes of shares in Quantum Biopharma. The ones that you trade on NASDAQ are the Class B shares. One share equals one vote. However, there is another class, Class A, that is what this original press release was about, that the two insiders that own all of the Class A shares doubled their share count for the sum of a total of $600. They doubled their voting power for $600. And each one of those shares that they own has 276,660 votes. There are 24 shares now as of June 27th, meaning that these two insiders at Quantum control about 7 million votes on anything that affects you. And you own what now? 3.4 million votes collectively, the Class B shareholders. You have no say in what this company decides to do in terms of its finances, issuing more shares, increasing the share count. You have no say because two people control the vote of this company. Now, some of you are going to say, I don't care. I want two people to have control of my future. But some of you might not be aware of this, and it is a critical critical thing to understand. I will put a link to this document on the Canadian website in the video description, and I think you guys should hold the company's feet to the fire, asking them why this sort of information is not disclosed to U.S. investors on the SEC website. This is a material change that U.S. investors should be aware of. Now, the other thing that I'm just going to close out this video with is, the point of this video is not to cover Quantum's financials. Although I've spent days now reading through many different quarterly reports in detail on the US website and the Canadian website, which, there's different data on the two websites, different amounts of information, I should say. And the only, if you have questions about the company's finances, I'm just going to say spend some time reading that. And I'm also going to let you know this is a very complicated set of financial statements. This company has a lot of different things going on between warrants, convertible debt, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, the income statement, the fact that they're loaning money to company executives to buy homes and then collecting interest on that, the fact that they have no revenue. And they're buying Bitcoin also. They do have, according to company press releases, about $5 million worth of Bitcoin on the balance sheet, which we'll find out about in the next upcoming balance sheet, next upcoming quarterly results. It was 2.77 million as of March, and now it's up to 5 million. So some of the cash has been deployed into buying Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency assets. But these are very complex financials, and even if you're spending time reading them, unless you're a CPA, this is a lot to go through. And so it is no surprise to me that people don't understand what they're investing in this company. And I also have questions like, do investors that are speculating in this company even understand the timeline of the MS treatment? Do you have a good grasp of the timeline of how long this company is likely to go without any meaningful revenue while they're having to invest in the development of this MS treatment? From the company's own filings, their disclosures to you, they're letting you know that clinical studies are going to go on through Q4 of 2028, at which point, if everything goes according to plan, they will begin regulatory licensing, working with US FDA, Health Canada, and UK MHRA for a cost between now and then of almost $32 million additional dollars. And if you're invested in this company, you know that they don't have $32 million. So I want you to ask yourself, where is that money going to come from between now and 2028? It's going to come from either the company issuing debt or the company raising additional cash through issuing shares. This is not an opinion. This is the company's documents, the company's timeline, from the company's disclosure to you. So, I don't know what to tell you other than please go read the filings and make sure you're managing your risk so that you don't end up on another video of investors who lost all of their money. If you're trading the stock for momentum, it's got a lot of volatility. I might trade it myself because I like stocks that have a lot of volatility. I know this was a lot of information, and I want you to understand I am not against Quantum Biopharma. I'm against you guys losing money. I want to see you make smart trades. I want to see you manage your risk. I want to see you take some responsibility to go read these documents, read the filings, understand the company's quarterly reports, annual reports, timelines. And if you understand all of that and you still want to speculate in it, and you're managing your risk and you're not risking more than you're willing and able to lose, then knock yourself out. I don't have any other plans to do videos going through Quantum's financials. I mean, you can look on stock analysis yourself and get the bare bones information about no revenue, how much cash is on the balance sheet, and what their operating losses were last quarter. 4 million lost in last quarter and 3.5 million of cash on the balance sheet. They do have 5 million in crypto, and they've got some money coming in from interest on those mortgages that they took care of for their executives. A nice little perk, I guess, if you have a company headquartered in Canada. I don't know that that is allowed in the United States, but it's not illegal in Canada. So, hey, do what you got to do, quantum executives. I'm not saying it is all doom and gloom here, but you need to understand this trade if you're investing in this trade, and understand also that any lawsuit that might be being pursued against spoofing and market manipulation could take years. So pace yourself, pace your risk, and good luck trading. I am Tony Denaro, and I will see you on the next video.